Tons of big WWE and AEW news. As always, timestamps in the description down below. Let's kick things off with WWE. A lot of people were wondering, why did Roman Reigns defeat Drew McIntyre? Over 62,000 people in Cardiff, Wales at the Principality Stadium. And for some reason, WWE made the booking decision for Roman Reigns to defeat Drew McIntyre. Now, obviously, a lot of people are going to be debating this result for a very long time. However way you look at it, though, I thought this match was absolutely excellent. Guys, we got to talk about this. Slice Wrestling dropped a very interesting report today. Now, as you know, I've mentioned in the past, Slice Wrestling has dropped some very big stories that have come to light. And this one actually makes sense. This is very logical as to why WWE would have had Drew McIntyre lose. And that is because Roman Reigns' historic title run is set to continue all the way up until WrestleMania 39. WWE officials remain focused on Roman vs. Rock, the mega match with the Bloodline, Samoan Dynasty as a major part to the story. This is obviously why Solo Sikoa has also been introduced as a new member of the Bloodline. There is no end sight to the Tribal Chief's massive WWE Championship run after beating Drew McIntyre as Solo Sikoa made his main roster debut. WWE is looking to continue the story well into 2022 and to 2023, and there are no plans in place for Roman Reigns to drop the WWE Universal Championship. Now, as WWE continues toward WrestleMania 39, there are obviously big plans. And one of them obviously includes that big singles match with The Rock. The idea that they're going to have a Samoan Dynasty versus Bloodline Civil War would basically put Roman and The Rock in the middle of it all. The Bloodline faction obviously being the heels. WWE is banking on this, right? And it makes sense. And look, if you're trying to do a Samoan Dynasty Bloodline type of Civil War storyline here, that could be really intriguing in 2022, 2023. However, we got to get at least one of those belts off Roman Reigns, okay? I don't care how WWE makes this happen. Roman Reigns does not need to hold both championship belts. I am all for the idea of giving him this historic reign. It's not a problem for me. However, he shouldn't be undisputed Universal Champion. You have Money in the Bank. Maybe have Theory lose the briefcase to somebody more credible. I don't know. But you got to do something. We know Cody Rhodes is returning. Let's make something happen. Let's get one of those belts off of Roman, keep the Universal Championship on his waist, continue this dominant run. It's not a big deal, but this is why Drew McIntyre lost. The only thing that sucks, if this report is actually accurate, then it's pretty obvious that perhaps whoever challenges Roman Reigns, it's easy to predict that they won't win. We'll see if WWE changes their mind, but this is a very interesting story, and I want to share that with all of you. I want to talk about AEW. Tony Khan revealing that AEW will gross $100 million this year. Fantastic news for AEW, and it does go to show you how big and successful AEW is without necessarily being a threat to WWE. Now, Tony Khan actually revealed this on the Wrestling Observer radio show with Dave Meltzer, and, look, he says it himself. He says it's pretty unprecedented, and it's been over 20 years since anybody is doing that. To me, success is sustaining it. And well done, well said, Tony Khan, because that is true. Making $100 million this year is great. WWE makes billions. AEW making $100 million is still really good. And one thing that I do like, I will admit this, Tony Khan says he does remain conservative with spending, but the smartest way to spend his money is on talent, and that when the company launched, he had 8 figures in commitments across the roster. And I like the fact that he said this because we knew when AEW was starting up, they had to bring in big names. And obviously Kenny, Cody, the Bucks, it was not going to be cheap to bring in this roster. Now, I believe being conservative with spending is a great idea for pretty much any single human being on this planet. But for Tony Khan to understand that you got to spend money on talent is a great thing. I just don't want to see him overdo it. That's the concern, right? I think everybody says when Tony Khan talks about signing people, he's just got money to blow. I've never made a comment about AEW losing money by signing talent. I've made a complaint about the storyline portion of it because people would sign to the company and then not necessarily get pushed. Financially, Tony Khan's got the money. He could sign whoever, however. That's not the big deal. What I would really like to see Tony Khan do going forward, and I think this is so incredibly important, is I think Tony Khan should spend his money on the right talent and just don't keep the talent who, one, aren't generating you money or aren't being used. Because you do have a lot of people on the roster not being used, and if you're trying to be conservative with your money, why are you paying them? Now, if you're getting them to do backstage stuff or you're getting them to do coaching or social media stuff, then I get it. But if you're just signing a whole bunch of people and you're trying to be conservative with your money, it wouldn't make sense to just sign a whole bunch of people just because you have money. And I think people need to realize that. Just because you have money doesn't mean you should be spending your money like an idiot. And it looks like Tony Khan actually isn't spending his money like an idiot if they're grossing $100 million this year. But obviously, it's a big achievement for the company. It's only 3 years old, so obviously that is good news for Tony Khan and AEW. Now, this actually leads us to our final story because we know that Tony Khan has not really talked about this, but there's been rumors based on trademarks and a whole bunch of stuff that AEW would be launching a all-women's show. So when we talk about spending money, I'm very curious as to why this decision's being made, where AEW thinks they can make money back from this type of show. But Tony Khan did reveal that essentially AEW's new show, All Elite Women, is something that they are searching for a platform. He says in the next year, he plans for more West Coast shows, which is great. And they are still working on getting to the United Kingdom. Again, very good. But Khan also says that he's working on getting a platform for All Elite Women. And just like with ROH, he doesn't know yet where it will air. My only concern out of this, and I'm not saying this out of negativity or out of hatred, my only concern that I have here is he doing too much too fast, right? You buy ROH, very expensive acquisition, still haven't found a TV deal. You're putting on pay-per-views, that obviously costs you money. Now you have this idea of launching All Elite Women, which is another television show for all the women in AEW. Is this too much too soon? And I say this because I feel like Tony Khan's in a situation where, while I give him props for thinking outside the box and trying to do things like this, I don't know if it makes a lot of sense business-wise at this time right now. I feel like there's still some holes in the game of Dynamite and Rampage that need to be fixed. Once you fix those things, once you get the ROH TV deal, once you start perfecting some of these things that are imperfect, then it makes sense to launch an all-women's wrestling show. Now, with that being said, one thing I want to be very clear on, because I feel like this is so incredibly important to mention, I think a lot of times people often forget about this. AEW going into TV negotiations will have a lot of leverage. Between AEW Dynamite, Rampage, Dark, All Elite Women, and Ring of Honor, that is a lot of content for a distributor. So obviously we know that the relationship with Discovery seems to be working out pretty well. But if it's not Discovery who keeps AEW in the loop, whether it's Apple, Amazon, whatever companies want to bring AEW in the mix, I think what actually ends up needing to happen here is Tony Khan just creates an entire wrestling package filled with all of this content. Honor Club, ROH, AEW Women, all of these different things. Put it under one package, one distribution deal, and there you go. AEW has a solution. And I also want to include AEW Dark in that because even though it's on YouTube currently, I feel like there would be a lot of value to have those extra 1 hour, dark matches, whatever you want to call them, dark tapings. And I think that can help out AEW maximize the most out of its TV deal. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll see you guys next time.